Hello, this is Gavin Patterson from Studio 1790, and today we're going to talk about summing. What is summing? Summing mixers, things like that. So, summing is a process that mixing engineers, sound engineers use to create non-linear artifacts in music. What's non-linear? Non-linear is basically analog. So if anyone knows anything about mathematics, linear is just a straight line, obviously. So for example, here's a fairly decent example. If you take a CD and this is back in now the olden days, like when you were a kid and you wanted to copy a CD. Not that I did that. If you want to rip a CD and make copies, the information on that CD that you copied to other CDs was linear. So what that meant was the copy was the same every single time. Every single CD sounded exactly the same. And an example of non-linear would be if you did it on a cassette tape. So if you bought a cassette tape of your favourite band and then you made a copy onto another cassette tape, it would lose a bit of quality because that process is non-linear, because it's analog, not digital. And then you make another copy and another copy and another copy. And the more you do it, the quality degrades over time every time you make another copy. That's a non-linear situation. Whereas linear means the medium, it doesn't matter what medium it's on, it's the same every single time. So it's a bit like a linear, an example in like speech would be, remembering a sequence of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then telling 50 people and they get it right all the way through. That's a linear example where there was no distortions at all. But it would be non-linear if maybe like the 20th person along accidentally mixes up the order and gets 1, 3, 2, 4. Then it starts to introduce error into the signal, and then the end product or result is different from the first one, and that's an example of non-linear. So we're going to talk about summing and how that relates to audio. So got a session here. This is a band called Interstates. They are on Spotify. You should check them out. So I'm going to show you what I do. So obviously I am a digital recording studio. I don't have any analog gear or expensive overpriced equipment. I just use plugins. I don't have the room or the money for £20,000 preamps. So I use plug-in summing mixers like this. So what this does, this is the Waves NLS non-linear summing mixer. What it does is it introduces distortions, harmonics, differences in signal to try and make the music that you're mixing more interesting, gives it more character. And I love it. It's great. So I've got it in every channel. I'll show you just now on my mixer. So if I scroll along to my audio. So here we go. I'll highlight all my audio channels. And there's a lot of them. It's a big session. Cool. So NLS channel. Every single channel has it. So I am emulating an analog studio. So I don't have a fancy mixing desk with nice preamps. I have nice preamps. It's the Steinberg UR824 with the Behringer/Midas mic pre's. They're decent enough, very affordable, and they work. They're super clean preamps. They don't sound like no one buys them for their quality of sound in terms of like character. People buy them because they want the cleanest sound possible. They don't want any characteristics or distortion or color or anything. They just want a preamp. So that's what they are. They're very clean. But after the fact, after I've recorded them, I would like my audio to sound nice. I want color, I want saturation, I want distortion, all that stuff. So that's where this comes in. So this is, so that you've got 3 settings here. You've got spike, mic, and Nevo. Let me just turn this off now. Spike, mic, and Nevo. These are 3 different mixing desks. Well, they're actually 3 different people, engineers. I can't remember their full names, but Spike is that's an SSL G console, I think. Mic, that's a EMI TG, maybe the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mixing desk from Abbey Road Studios. And Nevo, that's just a Neve desk. So you've got 3 desks. So what I'm doing, essentially, and you can also change the channel. So Waves have gone to these people's studios and plugged in their magical gear and their magical signal generators, and they have emulated the sound of these mixing consoles. So if I click load, go to Spike, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 32. Spike, whoever this guy is, has a 32 channel SSL in his studio. And Waves have gotten the sound of each individual channel on his mixing desk. So I can emulate, let's click on this one. This is Nevo channel 2. Channel 3. So I am emulating the sound of a console in my DAW. So it's like I'm mixing through each channel of those mixing desks, and I can choose which one I want. So I can have, like, I've got this set to a VCA group. We talked about VCAs last week. So the VCA is like it's a way of controlling the inputs and outputs remotely almost. So this is set to Nevo because this is the VCA group. It's a drum group. I'll show you all my VCAs. So I've got drums, bass, guitar, acoustic, keys, vocals, effects, and masters. And I can change, for example, I'll open up the snare one, and I can change it to spike, and it changes to spike. Change it to mic, changes to mic. And it does that for all of the drums, or all the ones that are assigned to this group, which is drums. So you've got, so if I open up the kick drum or the snare drum, it's assigned to group 1, 2 is bass, 3 guitar, 4 acoustic, keys, vocals, effects, and masters. So I've got it on drums just now, which means when I go to this tab, if I click to change it, it will change for all of them. Just a handy little control here. So I'm effectively pretending that I have an analog console and I'm recording on a super expensive console, either an SSL, a Neve, or a EMI desk, an old EMI desk from the 1960s. And they all have different characteristics. They're really cool. And I'll show you in a bit what it's like. But after I've done that, it goes to the effects channels. I don't have this plugin engaged, but I do have another one. I have this one, virtual channel. This is the same thing. This is a summing mixer as well. This is emulating the sound of different mixing desks as well. So this one, I've got it set to Brit 4KE, which is an SSL, another SSL, the 4000E series. It's also got the G series, the USA, which is an API desk. It's a really cool sounding mixing desk. Then you've got the Brit N, which is Neve. Then you've got a Trident. See, they've got the wee Trident there. Slate, for whatever reason, they are not allowed to use the proper manufacturing names because they don't have the copyright. And then RC tube, that's like it's an old radio amplifier or something, tube. So it's just a bit of a wild card. I like putting bass through that sometimes because it really distorts. It's quite nice. So you've got Trident, a Trident mixing desk, a Neve, an API, and 2 SSL. So I always leave it on the 4KE because I like the sound of that desk. So think of it this way. These audio tracks are my recording console. So this NLS is my recording console. I'm recording on a, TG12345 without owning one. And then in my effects channels, that's where I'm mixing. And I'm mixing on an SSL onto a tape machine. Each channel has a tape machine on it. Each one. They've all got tape machines everywhere. So it's this. I'm recording onto tape, even though it's not really tape. It's the sound of tape. And then once I'm done with that, I've got the NLS channel engaged on all my effects and all my master groups as well. Here, just to add extra color. And then finally, on the mix bus, I've got the stereo bus part of this plugin. So this plugin comes in 2 versions, the channel and the bus. So this is the absolute end of the plugins chain, and this is the channel. So I can turn up the volume of each group and drive. So if I want more distortion on any channel, I can just do it here. I can introduce console noise. Why would you want that? Don't know. I can also turn it to mic level. Do that on the channel. So mic level and line level. That's different levels in volume amplification. So it's got a trim knob. So that's your output. That's your output in and out. It's not the input. This doesn't have an input. And that's why in the last video I showed you I have this input knob before this, because this stupidly doesn't have an input knob, which is annoying. So I put this here to reduce the gain before it goes into it because I don't want it to distort too hard. So I'm going through that. And then I'm hitting it with this, which is another tape machine, but it's a 1/2 inch 2-track. So you've got 2-inch 16-track, which is what all the individual effects channels are set to, just like a tape machine, 2-inch 16-track tape machine. But I've got it on 1/2 inch 2-track, which is your final, that's what you would record into. Or you would mix into, is that final process. And it's a different sound. It's got a nice thicker low end sound. It's really nice. That's what I mix into. And finally, vinyl, because that's what comes last, right? So I'll show you what all this sounds like. So I'll hit play, and what I'll do is I'll muck around with all the different things and just have a listen. As I'm changing, you can hear all the characteristics of the music changing. So you hear there, the biggest difference I noticed there, when I go to the Nevo, listen to the high end frequencies of the hi-hat. Make sure you're wearing headphones as well. go to mic and it's like, it just, all the high end sort of disappears and it becomes sort more rounded and warmer. So to me, Spike sounds very mid-range, like 2K, 2000 hertz, kind of honky, which is cool for aggression. For rock music, I would have it on that setting. Mike is super warm, so nice, but really nice on like jazz music. It's really glued. It's such a good glue, that setting. And Nevo, if you listen just now, it just sounds like the whole frequency spectrum's opened up. Like everything from the lowest low to the highest high. Everything is so crystal clear and high definition, the Nevo setting. So Spike's quite aggressive and gnarly. Mike is really rounded and warm. And Nevo is very clear and open. And it's the same across the board. So if I'm, it's all about how it feels really. And it's not like, oh, I want more 2K, no, that's what an EQ is for. This is about how the song feels more than sounds. It's a weird thing. It's good to listen through speakers as well. Obviously, I'm in headphones just now, so I don't get bleed in the microphone. But when I'm messing around with these in a mix, I'll swap them in and out and hear how they sound. And the whole characteristic of the song changes. It can sound warm or it can sound bright. It just depends what you want. But it just adds another layer of emotion and colour to the mix. And that's what the non-linear summing does in general with that plugin and also this one. So this one has two versions as well. There's the channel and there's the bus. Exactly the same as this guy. That's the bus. That's the channel. So this one does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 desks. This one only does 3. But this one is a little bit more versatile as it has Nevo has 32 channels, Mike has 32 channels, and Spike has 32 channels. So this has, and this will blow your mind. Let me just undo that. I don't want to ruin the mix. I'll show you the sound now. If my memory serves me, we'll do snare drum. Let me just open up. There it is there. Now, if memory serves me, when you put it on mic and you put it to channel 1, channel 2 on this desk sounds really different from channel 1. Really different. Like these are old analog desks, especially Mike's one. Spike's desk, so the SSL is a solid state desk, solid state logic SSL, meaning that the tracks all sound the same, all the channels sound the same, more or less. But this one, no, it's got tubes in it, as far as I'm aware. So each channel sounds a little bit different. So let me just play some snare drum. That's channel 1. Let me find some snare drum. Yeah, I've ran out of snare drum. Here we go. Okay, we'll loop this bit. Okay, that's channel 1. Two. One. My God. listen in headphones, you can actually hear it move in the stereo field. It's not just the sound of it, but it's actually moving in the stereo field. It's stereo. It's not mono. If you change to the other desks, it sounds more mono. See how wide that is? So to me, his channel 1 sounds more uniform, sounds more in the middle. Channel 2 is all over the place. Three and 1 are very similar, but there is a slight difference. But channel 2 is mental. So why does this matter? What it does is it adds character to each channel. You've got a little bit of weirdness going on. It's not the same in every single channel. You've got a slightly different sound on each channel, and what it does to a mix is it adds 3 dimensions to your mix. If you turn this thing on and off, which I'll do that right now actually. Turn it off on the mix and it just loses that 3D depth, and I'll show you what that sounds like just now. So I'll do it on the inputs. I'll do it on all of these ones. I'll just turn them all off. Okay, here we go. Listen to that low end. If you're wearing a decent set of headphones or good studio monitors, you'll hear it just thickens out and the layers just becomes so much better, especially through speakers. It's better to listen through speakers. So that's why I use non-linear summing when I'm mixing. Now, there are alternatives to buying all these fancy plugins. Some DAWs come with non-linear type summing mixers. You can actually buy them as well. So you can buy non-linear summing mixers from companies like Neve. So you can route all your outputs to a summing mixer. Then it does its magic, and then you can send them all back in on the inserts on a mixing desk or something. You can do it that way. That's the actual real way of doing it. So it's not plugins, it's an actual physical piece of hardware. I think Neve do one, but it's thousands of pounds. Whereas this was, I want to say like 30 or 40 pounds for the NLS, the Waves NLS. I don't know what price it is. It was a few years ago I bought it. But if you want to add a little bit more of 3 dimensions and character and colour to your mixes, I highly recommend non-linear summing. So yeah, that's everything I've got to say on that. If you have any questions on NLS or anything in general, please leave a comment and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and hitting the notification bell if you want to receive updates on future videos. So that's us for today, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.